Hello and welcome back to the Designasaw Studio. In today's episode, we're running through the wiring. Warning, this is a little bit tech heavy. This thing is complicated.
A little bit of progress here on the car. Let me just run you through what I've been up to. So, the steering, which we've already seen modified, that's mounted back in the car. So, that is connected up to the wheels, and you can hear the servo going round. We have the throttle pedal assembly in, connected to a pot. So that's only for use when the car is switched to local control. Chuck back in the forward and reverse lever. That currently is entirely standard as it was when the car was originally built. So you'll see the interior is a right mess at the moment with all this peeling black paint. That's because that was, regretting that big style. The seat is in because I'm just having a look at the moment to see exactly where some things are going to mount. So you can see here we've got our sort of main battery area here. You've got the tops of the two battery mounts. They're going to be wired together. And then we've got our fuse box, which has gone in here. The big buck converter. So this is going to take the 18 volts from the batteries, turn it down to 12 volts, and feed that into the two ESCs, which will run the motors. We've had to do that because ESCs that take 18 volts are incredibly expensive, and I ain't paying that. Where these little RC ones were £13 off Amazon, which is far more budget friendly. So that's what we've had to do. In the fuse box, I'm going to have a fuse for the 18 volts coming out of the batteries before it goes to the buck converter, and then when the 12 volts comes out, it's going to go through another fuse before it then is provided power to the ESCs. The ESC kicks out a 5 volt power, which is then going to go back into the fuse box. So we're going to have a fuse on the 5 volts, the 12 volts, and the 18 volts. And that 5 volt power is then going to go to the RC receiver, the servo at the front, the other electronics, so the Arduino, and all that sort of thing, including headlights and reverse light, tail lights. I'm currently thinking that the two ESCs will live one down there and the other in the other side there, because that spot just seems perfectly sized for them. There's a nice amount of air around them to help them vent. And then the RC receiver will probably go on some Velcro tab there or something like that. Now, the way that this is going to work is the signal wire, which is this white one, will be connected up to a switch, which I think is going to live here. And that switch is going to switch it between either receiving a signal from the RC receiver or receiving a signal from the Arduino, which is then going to take that signal from the throttle pedal to say how fast it wants to go and pass that signal through into the ESCs controlling the motors, or the signal from a potentiometer, which is mounted onto the servo under there and wired back again to the Arduino. So when that potentiometer sees a steering input, it will tell the servo through the Arduino to turn to that required position. So essentially, this car is going to have electronic power steering. Yep, kind of cool. Kind of through necessity as well, because otherwise, whenever she wanted to steer the car, she'd have to back drive that servo, which would make the servo steering quite heavy and probably isn't ideal for the servo. So that way, it's going to have assisted power steering, and also it gets around that issue. So kind of cool. The forward and reverse, again, that's not needed when we're in remote control mode. So basically that's going to feed into the Arduino, and that's going to tell it, okay, we're now in reverse, so when you push the throttle, we want a signal to the speed controllers, which tells them to go backwards. So yeah, it will be able to go full speed in reverse, the same as it can forward. Not that I think this thing's going to be hugely fast. I don't think so anyway. So that's kind of where we're at the moment. Bodywork wise, I've chucked the side skirts on. That's mainly to sort of help stiffen this panel up because it ties it in at the bottom, and I was getting worried when I was resting the car on its side that that was going to get damaged. So yeah, this is where we're at. So we're on to doing some wiring now, but things have got a bit messy. So I think it's time we speed things up and let's crack on. Run you through where we are at the moment. So we have rest this on something. Batteries wired up that go to this first fuse here. So this kicks out 18/20 volts, and that feeds into the big buck converter, which then feeds back into the fuse box, which gives us a 12 volt supply on that pin and on that pin. This output goes up to our smaller buck converter, which is going to kick out 5 volts, which then supplies 5 volts to these 3 pins. So we've basically got sort of one that's going to be the sort of ESCs and the servo, then maybe the Arduino, and then the lighting and accessories. Wiring is super boring, super boring. Okay, let me catch you up with where we've got to. So, all this tangle of wired mess equals one giant radio controlled car, essentially. So, we've got the batteries are wired up together and go into this fuse there. The positive, negative runs underneath the floor of the car and pops out here and into this. And that is how this is going to work. Thanks for watching. I hope you consider subscribing and hit that like button. If you want to see more, check out our other videos. We've got build series on all sorts of things, including a conversion of a Volvo T5 into a manual. I hope I'll see you next time. And please look us up on social media. We're at Automotive Tales, or for me personally, at Designasaw on all platforms. Thanks for watching. Three, 2, 1. Oh.